Hey, welcome guys to the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed. My name's Darren Wendell. I'm your host. A lot of people think my name is Wendell. That's not my first name. It's Darren. Actually, I have three first names, Darren David Wendell. You know what they say, don't trust a guy with three first names. But hey, you can find me at Wendell Fishing at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And guys, I'm excited tonight because I got a pretty sweet guest for us. Some of you guys already know. But before we get there, I want to give a huge shout out to my man, Jeff, one of our listeners, our sponsor of the show, making this all possible for all of us to kind of listen in. usrivermaps.com. Like I said, Jeff's one of our listeners. And if you kind of see over my shoulder here, he started this business just about a month ago. He's been working on it for about a year or two. These are awesome maps you can get printed off. And I know it's kind of hard to see the one right over my shoulder. So I have another one right here. And this guy takes basically all the maps that are out there, overlays them for all the streams and the rivers. This is printed on canvas. And these things look pretty sweet. So I know all you guys who are like listening in from the podcast, like, Darren, what are you talking about? So I apologize for those few moments, but do want to thank you, Jeff. And I got good news for everybody. He's running kind of a special for everyone listening on the show. You can get $35 off an order. If you look at that little code there, get $35 off. So Jeff, you're the man. So let's go ahead and hop in. I want to introduce our guest for tonight, Texas Fishing Force, my man, Mike. Hey, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, tell me the journey. Why YouTube? How long you been doing this? Really curious. I spent quite a bit of time on your YouTube channel today. I mean, I'm going back years. Looking at some of the early stuff, which kind of put you on the map. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But hey, tell me the journey. I'm curious.
So I didn't start YouTube. I never wanted to be a YouTuber by any means. But what I did is, I've always had a love for fishing. I've been fishing since I was a kid, and I used to post all these pictures. And I had friends and family that were like, "Man, it would be really cool to see what you do out there." And so I had some GoPros, and so I just kind of strapped those on, and the only way that I could share those with my family was through YouTube because, the files were just too big. So I started doing that. And about a month later, I logged on to YouTube to post a second video. And then I had some people commenting and asking questions. And, it was confusing because I was like, who are all these people?
This is supposed to be a place I'm just housing videos.
I was just
watching my videos.
I was just sending links to family, and so it grew a little bit. And I think I had like 100 people after 2 months, something like that. And then, then I had an audience, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll answer some of these questions. If you go back and look at my first few videos, I didn't even talk in them; it was just recorded fishing. But then I had an audience, and so I started to answer questions on that, and then it kind of grew and grew, and then I hit 1,000 people in like 6 months, and then I was like, okay, so I need to take this more seriously. And but I never wanted to be a YouTuber. I just I love fishing, and I recorded what I was doing, and so it kind of grew from there.
So 1,000 people, you like 1,000 views, or do you have 1,000 subs in 6 months?
I had 1,000 subs in 6 months.
Wow. Yeah. You didn't say anything.
No, I didn't. I think like 3 months in, I started talking, and just going through comments and like, okay, this is what I'm doing here. This is why. This is the baits I'm using for all the people that were asking questions. But I had and I kind of woke up one day and I went from like 500 to like 800 overnight. And I was like, whoa, okay, where are you all coming from? I don't understand. So, and I wasn't posting my videos anywhere. They just people showing up.
So how long ago was this when you started this?
I guess it's been about 3.5 years now, something like that.
Okay. Because if you go back,
maybe four. I mean, so I started my YouTube before that because I was posting other stuff, and I deleted all that and changed the name to Texas Fishing Force about 6 to 9 months later. But if you go back and look, I do have some videos that are like 4+ years old, but I didn't really start YouTube till 6 or 9 months later.
What are all the ones you deleted?
Oh, well, I used to do like a lot of rock climbing. And so, yeah. And so it used to just be my name. And then I changed the name to Texas Fishing Force once I had an audience.
All right. So, right on.
Yeah.
So you have some videos. They're 3 years old. So this must have been some of your earlier ones, right? Mm-hmm. So we're looking like past some of your initial just you fishing videos. You did some videos. What were they? Here they are. 5 things not to do in a kayak while fishing. And I would say your number one video,
Yeah.
which is just crazy. I think there's 500,000 views
Yeah.
in those 2 videos alone. Walk me through, because they're kayak fishing related, and everyone's going to give you a giant boo here in a little bit, because you shared with me that you do kayak fishing every once in a while. It's not your primary.
Well, not anymore. No. So
we'll get to that. We want to know why we lost you to the dark side. So we'll talk about that. But first, let's go back to those first initial videos, and we're talking hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, and that happened so fast. And that was honestly at like the maybe 9-month mark, something like that. Maybe it was less than that. It was probably more like 7 to 8 months into me actually doing this. Well, I decided before that, I was like, okay, well, because I have this following, I'm going to start doing a video every single week. Okay. And I was like really sticking to that. Every week I needed to put out a video. And there was a point in time where we had like 3 weeks of just horrible rain. And I was like, I can't go fish and I can't show any of that. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do a video with some tips. And that was the first one. I did like 5 fishing tips in a kayak era. And I uploaded that, and I really thought that it was just going to bomb, but it was more so for the YouTube algorithm just to keep videos going.
Yeah.
And it didn't do well at first. It was, I had a few hundred views, and that was pretty much it. And then about a week later, I went to bed at, and I had like maybe 700 views. And then I woke up the next day and I had 13,000.
What in the world? Who's up that late watching kayak fishing videos?
Yeah.
Where'd they come from?
Yeah, I had a lot from Australia. And then, so that happened. And then a few days later, there was a kayak magazine that also has like an online thing. And they
Kayak Angler Mag.
I believe so. Maybe so.
Yeah.
But they shared it. And then it went from, 15,000 views to 50,000 views the next week. And then I think I hit 100,000 in 2 months, something like that. And then it's just, even still today, that video is 3 years old, and every single month I get 8,000 views on that video.
Still to this day, years.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Years. It's the beauty of YouTube, right?
Yep.
And it's just gift that keeps on giving. However, so what do you remember those tips that you gave?
No, I don't. I came up with it like right on the top of my head, because I was like, I got to get a video out and I got to do it tonight. And so I just kind of turned on the camera and I just started talking, and then I went back and edited it. But no, I think one was about like transporting your kayak, and I don't remember it now.
You had like accessories where you had some light photo. I remember seeing these things. The funny thing is, when I reach out to people to interview them for the show, I see their content, and I've seen it for years, and sometimes don't even realize that was their content when I asked them to be on the show to kind of interview them. But and so it's crazy to come full circle to actually speak with you now. So, man, thanks for hopping on. Now, Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about that kind of journey from you told me your primary. I didn't ask him any questions for a show. I don't believe in pre-interviewing people for shows. But you did mention just in a brief email interaction with me that you're more into, you have a boat now, more into tournament fishing. Tell us where you're at and kind of walk us through the transition from your kayak. I saw a video where you said, I sold my kayak. Just kind of walk us through that whole transition to kind of where you're at today and what you're doing and where you're doing it.
Okay. Well, so to start out, like when I got into saltwater fishing, I started offshore. So I bought an offshore boat, and then I realized real quick that a lot of people don't have money to come and join you fishing with that, because, an offshore trip, you're talking $2,000 in fuel. And so I had this boat, and, I would invite, I needed 6 to 8 people just to be able to pay for that fuel. And like, it's cool every once in a while, but people are like, no, I don't want to pay $400 every week to do this. And so that last year that I had my offshore boat, I think I took the boat out like maybe 9 times in a year. And I was like, why do I have this? And so I sold it. Well, I had a friend of mine who's like, dude, you need to get a kayak. And before that, I was doing like a lot of wade fishing and bank fishing. And so I got this kayak, and it was supposed to be temporary. And then I loved it. And I did that for years. And then I started getting into kayak tournaments and all of that. Well, as my YouTube channel has grown, and also my friend circle of fishermen, most of my fishermen are boat tournament fishermen. And so while I was at one point going back and forth, I was fishing boat tournaments and I was fishing kayak tournaments. It just made more sense for me to focus on one. And that I also got a really good deal on a super shallow running flats cat boat that I have now. And I had both for a little while, but I eventually sold the kayak and I was like, okay, I'm going to focus mainly on this. But the capabilities of my boat now, I still fish a lot of the same places that I was kayak fishing before. And so I still have a lot of people from the kayak world that watch my YouTube because I'm just going there in a boat. In fact, half the time I'm fishing around kayakers, and just doing it in a boat. So,
So primarily it's your friends, right? You're like,
yeah.
I'm moving from kayak because my buddies all do this. If you didn't have any friends, would you still be in a kayak?
Well, actually, just this weekend, I had my tournament partner ask. He said, "Do you miss kayak fishing?" And yeah, sometimes I do. Sometimes I really wish I could just pull out the kayak, slide it out of the truck, get on the water, and then go, rather than get in the boat and fueling it up and doing all of that. Kayaking is just a much more kind of in tune with nature kind of feel, and I do. I miss it sometimes, but the convenience of the boat and where I can go and where I can't, it's easier to be honest. Once I'm on the water, yeah, it's easier.
Makes sense. What kind of kayak did you have back?
I had a Hobie Outback.
Yeah. All right. So what was the length on that? 10, 12?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Do you have one now?
No.
No, none.
Nope, I don't right now. However, all of my old kayak friends still have a ton, and so they invite me, and I just jump in theirs.
Yeah, that's how it goes. You start collecting them.
Yeah,
like
and
Pokemon cards.
Well, that's the way I was. I had 3 at the time, and I was like, okay, all right, this is enough. It's getting packed in here. And then once I got the boat, I was like, there's kind of no point in me having multiple storage for kayaks and boats, especially when all my friends have kayaks, and then I just ride with them. So
yeah, my dad, who's actually, I think he's on right now. Pops, he on? There he is. He said, "Have fun in the show today." But we just recently had a conversation. He's like, "Hey, I want to buy your kayak." So I'm like in the market right now for a new one. But I also know in that conversation when he says I want to buy one, I think he also means I want to store it at your house. And so I'm coming up with all these creative ways. Like I need to buy a barn. I need this I don't know how many more hoists I can put in my garage. And so I am running out of room, folks. But so hey, if you got a question, this wasn't just supposed to be everyone listen to Darren ask questions and everyone listen to Mike give answers. This is supposed to be interactive. So you have a question, I am watching over here in the comment section. So feel free to go ahead and jump on in if you got a question there. And look, my pops is here.
There we go.
I know, right? So got a question, let me know. But I want to hop into, I got a ton of questions for you, Mike. We have, there's one video that he says your YouTube channel sucks. That was the title of yours. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what you do full time. I think it's pretty rad. So talk about there. There's so many things that you were talking about in your videos, being that I'm primarily a freshwater fisherman, that I had I don't even know what you're talking about. So I want you to talk about like trout slicks.
Okay.
You had a video about 5 reasons to stop using live bait, which live bait's like the go-to a lot of times, especially for saltwater. But I want to hear your thoughts on it. You had some interactions. I saw one of your videos that "Don't be this guy" video, and it looks like someone was cutting you off. I want to hear more about tournament redfishing. And so let's where do we start? So let's go ahead and start with your YouTube channel sucks. I want to start there because as a fellow content creator, one, people don't understand how much time it takes to put this stuff together, right? And then to put it out there for the world to kind of have people troll you is just like, really? This is like free. Just move along if you don't like it type of thing. But anyways, we all get it, especially with your videos going to hundreds of thousands. You start getting it like every day.
Yeah.
But hey, so share with me what you think, Tom Hanks.
Right. Yeah. No, that's funny too. The amount of going through all of the comments that people think that I look like Tom Hanks is, and I don't see it, but
Hey, let me know. Do you think he looks like Tom Hanks? Actually, I think it's that specific thumbnail on
it
his
is.
YouTube channel. So go find that one. Then tell me if you think he looks like Tom
That
Hanks in the
video,
comments.
I probably have 50 comments about Tom Hanks just from that thumbnail, and it's crazy. But
Any other time in your life, anybody say, "Hey, you look like Tom," or just in that video?
No,
Yeah.
just that video. Yeah,
So
that's the
weird.
only one. It's the thumbnail, and I don't know what I did there, or what was different. But yeah, I got a lot of comments about that. When it comes to the the putting yourself out there, that's what that video was about. Yeah, I'm sure you watched it, but anytime you put yourself out on social media, and like I said, I never wanted to do this. Like, it just became what it is, and I really enjoy it now, and I love fishing, I love recording, and I helping people and all of that. But anytime you put yourself out on social media, you're going to get trolls and haters and all of that. And so that video was just me reading some of those comments, and making fun out of I mean, I could do one of those every week, to be honest. And
Really?
yeah, I mean, some of the comments, I mean, I'm constantly deleting comments just because people they're ridiculous, and they don't know what it takes, and they don't know the amount of work that goes into this, and they don't know how much you put yourself out there for everyone to just judge you for nothing, and so at first it really bothered me, and now I just laugh about it. I'm like, okay, it's another one of them.
I have one. It was my favorite. Someone trolled me, and I laugh about it till this day. I have a lisp sometimes when I speak, especially because more pronounced when I'm in my videos. And I had this one guy. All his comment was "White Mike Tyson."
That's awesome.
I just rolled. I loved it. I was like, all right, you just gotta roll with it. And I looked it up. It was some kid. He's like 16 years old trolling me. But
I used to do that every time I would get somebody that would say something. I would have to go and I would look at their profile, and I'd start looking them up and doing all this. And I was like, man, I'm spending a lot of work finding people for no reason at all. And I don't care. Like, I mean,
right.
I don't now. I used to. It really bothered me. Like, why do these people not like me? What I do? But
yeah, I hear you. Hey, OnlyFans is like, hey, haters gonna hate. Interaction is interaction. Yeah, it's true. It's still, they're still writing. The algorithm picks it up. They don't know if it's good, bad, or in between. So,
yep.
I hear you there. I have a personal rule: don't feed the trolls. So if you troll me, I'm not gonna respond. I'm gonna dislike it. And here's the reality: as content creators, you guys don't know this out here. We have the ability to like hide you.
Yep.
And you think you're continuing to write these zingers of comments, but no one's seeing them except for you. So it's kind of like the joke's on you type of thing. For all those haters out there. But nonetheless, Jeff has a question for you. Where in Texas you at?
I live in Katy, but I fish Galveston, Freeport, Matagorda, that Texas coast area, mid-coast mostly.
Ever go inland? Do you do any? I saw you do some bass fishing, but...
So I grew up bass fishing, and that's where I started. My grandfather owned a marina in Tennessee, and so I would go up there in the summers, and I would fish every summer when I was a kid. And when I, came back to Texas, and I used to fish a lot of lakes, and I used to fish Lake Conroe and all of that. But when I went and kind of I decided to go and do some saltwater fishing with some friends, and then I just got hooked on those fish, and learning those very specific fish. I still, I'll do some bass fishing here and there, but my main focus is saltwater. So
saltwater. And is Redfish your number one that you go to?
Yeah, just because all the tournaments, I mean, they have trout tournaments too, but I don't enter those. I'm really focused on redfish, but redfish are like the saltwater bass anyway. They react a lot the same way. They're very, very similar in, their habits. And once you learn that, I mean, I'm so focused on redfish that, I really care about what they're doing. And trout, I find it easier to catch them. It's probably harder to catch bigger ones, but redfish are very, very particular.
Okay, so since I'm complete noob when it comes to redfish. Like, I know they are, I know what they look like. I've seen plenty of videos of people catching them. But walk me through like your tournaments. One, because I don't fish tournaments. I typically don't. I don't know the reason why. I think there's a fear inside of me, like it's just going to ruin it for me.
It does.
Does it? Okay. Well, there you go. My fear is realized. And two, I don't have the time. And three, it's just going to be like I got a small family, so I got a 7 and a 5-year-old. So getting out on tournaments all day and doing that week over week, I'm not sure the family would be give that a huge thumbs up. And also, I mean, looks expensive.
Yeah.
So walk me through that whole world as if I don't know anything about it, because I don't.
Okay. Well, so I started doing a lot of the redfish tournaments back when I was doing kayaking, and there was a lot of kayak redfish tournaments, and I really enjoyed those. And I used to do some bass tournaments back in the day as well. Tournament fishing is a different world, though, especially when it comes to redfish, because redfish they have to be between 20 and 28 inches. And on any given day, I can go out and I can catch redfish. But
Okay.
finding those redfish that are the size that you need to win a tournament, that's a different ballgame. I mean, I can catch 25-inch redfish every day of the year, but to find a 27 3/4 that's 10 pounds, that's rare,
Okay.
And, we could go out and we could catch 60 redfish in a day, but throw back, all but 3 because we're trying to find some that are that specific weight. And on any other day, that would be a really good day. But I mean, I've gone out on redfish tournament days and not be able to find any over 25 inches. Or I've had the opposite where all the redfish I catch are too big and I can't keep them. And if it wasn't a tournament atmosphere, it's an epic day. You're catching great fish all day long, but to find that perfect size redfish every single, on a tournament day when you absolutely have to, you do that enough, and the pre-fishing and all of that, it can take the fun out of fishing for you real quick.
Well, I was watching one of your videos, and you were like, "Hey, I got a tournament tomorrow." No, you didn't have a tournament the next day, and you're just getting ready to go fishing. You seemed like super relaxed, and made reference to I'd be kind of like all spun up right now, prepping for the tournament. What's that look like for you?
So we do a lot of pre-fishing before these tournaments, and the idea is to go find them and find the big ones and find the ones that we're looking for. But you don't want to overfish it because we don't want to spook them and they not be there tomorrow. And I generally don't pre-fish the day before any tournament because I don't want to get those fish moving. I want them to stay where they are. So generally 2 to 3 days before, I'll start pre-fishing. And anywhere I go, if I catch fish, I leave. I don't want to stick around because I don't want to spook those fish. I don't want them disappearing, and but there's a lot of work, and it's really hard, especially when you come up on schools and schools of redfish, and you catch one, to walk away from that and just drive away. It's hard.
For the sake of tournament. So that would drive me nuts right there. Knowing that they're there, giving up on a perfectly good day to possibly fish on another day that you might not be able to fish because the weather's bad.
Yep.
I'd lose my mind. I wouldn't be able to sleep for days.
Yeah, and I've done it. I've rolled up on schools of redfish, and we catch one just to kind of see what size all of the fish are in that area. Catch 1 or 2, and then you see 60, 100, 200 redfish swimming around out there, and then we leave. And it's hard to do. It's hard to train yourself to be like, yeah, if we keep fishing these fish are not going to be here in 2 days. So
that sounds awful. I want to not do it for that right there. So far you've talked me out of it. I'm still waiting for where the fun's at. Keep walking me through it. Here's a real quick question from Salt Coast Fishing. How often do you get to go out? Because I know you're a business owner, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well.
I go, so tournament weeks, I'll go 2 to 3 days. On fun weeks, I'll go 1 to 2.
Okay.
When I'm just fun fishing and I don't have tournaments going on. So I like to get out at least once or twice a week.
Okay. So, are you like kind of addicted to the tournament thing now? You feel like you have to because all your buddies are doing it?
Yeah.
Also, I got a question. How many guys are typically in the tournaments that you roll in?
So there'll be 2. Well, you can do them solo, but generally it's two teammates per team. Yeah. And then, some of the smaller tournaments, you'll have 25 boats in the tournament. Some of the bigger ones, you'll have 100. So, up to 200 people realistically.
Okay. So you gotta win some of these things in order to make it worth it, right? So
but even that, like one of my best friends is he's a huge redfish tournament guy. He's been doing this for a long time. And I'll tell you, even when you're winning,
you're losing.
You're breaking even. with the
Uh,
grand scheme of things. I've definitely lost a lot more money than I've won over the years.
got it.
So
So it's like going to casino where you actually know the majority of the time you're going to walk out without money in your pocket. That makes
yeah,
sense.
I'm just honestly, I like the competition and I like the people and I love doing all of that and just to see, because it's a different animal to force yourself to catch a very specific fish when you have to. And being around the guys that have done this for way longer than I have, and people that are way better fishermen than I am, it's crazy to see how good those guys are. And people don't understand. Like when I got into it, I'm like, I catch fish all the time. I catch redfish, whenever I go out.
Right.
And then to get in with that mix of guys that can catch those perfect fish every single time. Uh, I'm in awe sometimes because even as much tournament fishing and fishing I do, I can catch fish most of the time, but I still struggle. There's days that I'm like, man, I just can't, I can't get on them today. And then you show up to weigh-ins and people have these amazing fish. I'm like, what were you doing?
Well, what were they doing? I'm sure you talked to them afterwards. I'm sure they
Yeah,
told
and because a lot of us are friends, we sit there and we discuss some of it, and like what worked, what didn't, and so all of that's a learning stuff. But it just makes you a better fisherman in general. Doing the tournament thing, you're not. I mean, it's hard to win money and come out ahead, but it's more for me the competition, the fun with those people, the interaction. If you're doing tournament fishing for money, it's not going to work out well for you.
I mean, are you? I mean, you're fishing with all. You're in the amateur division, right? So you're not fishing with the pro division, or are you? Do you have captains on your boat? Is that how that works?
No. So and that's another thing. Saltwater fishing is not the same like saltwater tournaments. They're just not at the level that bass tournaments are.
Mm,
So even like the really big tournaments here, they don't really compare to. I know guys that do a lot of bass tournaments, and you can make a living at that. It's hard to do that as a saltwater fisherman.
mm,
Just the prize pool just isn't the same.
really?
So yeah. I mean, you look at some of these bass tournaments where, you win it, you're walking away with $100,000.
Yeah.
A lot of these tournaments that I do,
Yeah. What's the payout?
you'd be lucky if it's 10 grand. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And that's an expensive, expensive sport to jump into your expensive boat to pay
Yeah.
that. I actually got a video coming out. I'm going to ruffle some feathers. It's titled "Why Kayak Fishing Destroys Boat Fishing." It's really just all the reasons I like kayak fishing. So the title's a little inflammatory, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that I'm going to be ruffling and getting people all riled up. But it's just more expensive all
Yeah.
around.
It is.
Everything,
It is for
your
sure.
gear, your everything. Well, I mean, you said something a little bit earlier. It's like once you find these schools of redfish, you're talking hundreds of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is it normal to find hundreds like you do? Like, can you? Or,
This time of year, yeah.
really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not all the time, but I go out at least a few times a week, and at least once a week, I will run up on schools of 40 plus redfish. And then you'll run into them multiple times throughout the day. That's pretty normal this time of year. As you get into summer, you don't see that much, but it's and where I fish in 6 inches of water or less, 90%
Oh, really?
of the time. Yep. And so you'll see them, their tail sticking out of the water, swimming through. And a lot of people aren't able to fish in the places that I fish because of how shallow it is. Most people can't get their boats back there, but my boat runs that. And so when I take people that have never been fishing like in the marsh and they see those redfish for the first time, I forget because I see them all the time, but
Right.
they'll see them. They're like, oh my God, I have never seen it. That is incredible to see. And I'm like, oh yeah. That, I mean, okay. It's
Last
neat. It's
week,
really
day
cool.
before that, yeah, I
Yeah.
bet, super cool. And I imagine it's a bunch of flat bottom boats and kayakers back there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I mean,
And
my boat will go like much shallower than my kayak did, to be honest.
really,
Yep. Yeah.
wow,
My boat will run in half an inch of water.
chill
So,
out.
yeah.
That's some sweet engineering.
Yeah. It's sketchy. Well, that's another thing. I love taking people out there too, because they'll see all the oyster and all the mud sticking out of the water and they'll just run right through it. And they're like holding on for dear life. I'm like, yeah, this is what we do.
Love it. Hey, let's switch gears really fast.
Yep.
Because I was watching one of your videos, and it was kind of realization to you. I noticed in your video that you were just saying that, you know, I it's just been fishing videos. You wanted your channel to be something a little bit more than that. And so you just started sharing a little bit more about your life. One, I'm curious how that has played kind of to the audience of those who follow you. Were they receptive of it? Do people want that? Because I know as a content creator for me, especially starting out, I'm not even 2 years in to having my channel. And so I've been really just kind of keeping it brief and to the point, not really sharing a whole lot of stories outside of kind of within this live show. But I'm curious on kind of what that looked like for you, and what do you do for a living? Because that was kind of the video that kind of kicked it off for me.
Yeah, so I'm a professional tattoo artist. I own a tattoo shop here in Katy, Texas, called Advent Tattoo. I've been tattooing, I guess now 14 years, something
Nice.
like that. So I've been doing it for a long time, which was kind of weird when I started getting noticed for fishing as well, because I've been known in the tattoo world for a long time. And I always kind of kept those two parts of my life separate. And then over time, people that knew me from tattooing and followed me from that started realizing that I fish. And then the same thing, a lot of my fishing friends, they're like, "Oh my God, you do tattoos." And so at one point, they just kind of intertwined. And now I mean, every month I have fishermen that I tattoo because those worlds collided.
Right.
So, which is, I mean, it's helped me because, it's, I mean, I guess any exposure is good exposure. So, and that's what it is. I mean, I'm getting people from both sides now for business and for, my fishing. So,
Do you have a YouTube channel for your business?
no, I don't. I have another art channel, but I literally haven't uploaded in like 3 years.
Oh, all
So
right.
it was just like me painting and drawing and a lot of that. It wasn't tattoo related.
Yeah. Oh man, I was wondering it. So tell me a little more the why you got into tattooing. Like, where'd that start? You've always been a creative and kind of artist, because that would make sense why you kind of open your arms to YouTube, right? Because
Yeah.
this is a place for artists and creators.
Yep. Yeah. So I've been drawing and painting, I mean, since I was a kid. I always knew that I was going to be doing something in art. And but I kind of fell into tattooing, which is really weird because a lot of people really try to get into this industry and they can't, because it's a very closed off industry. You have to really know people most of the time. That wasn't the case for me. I went after high school, I went to the military. And then after the military, I got out and I was working for like an engineering company. But I had a roommate two roommates, and they were both going to get tattoos. I had one tattoo at that point.
Okay.
But they knew that I was an artist. And then, so they asked me to draw some designs for them. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll draw something up quick for you. And I drew it for them, and they took it to the tattoo shop. And then the owner of the shop called me after he saw the drawings and was like, "Would you like to come in and learn?" And I was like, that would be fun. I like to draw anyway. I'm doing it anyway. Might as well go in there and learn something new, a new art form. And then I got into tattooing. And so I was working my engineering job during the day. I was tattooing at night. And then, here in Texas, the oil industry that's what everyone does when you're an engineer. But the oil industry goes up and down. And there was a point where a lot of people were getting fired and laid off. I was pretty safe where I was, but everybody I knew, the whole industry was changing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just leave this for a while until the industry gets better. And I'm going to tattoo, and I'm going to try to make that work until I can find a better job. And so I went tattooing full time, which was really hard because I took probably a $60,000 pay cut when I did that. And it was supposed to be a temporary thing. And then after about a year, I finally started gaining clientele and making a little bit more money. And I was like, you know what? I could do this for the rest of my life. I really enjoy this. And I love being my own boss. I mean, at the time I wasn't my own boss, but I love the freedom. I wasn't in corporate America anymore. And then a few years later, me and a artist friend of mine, we opened up Advent. And I mean, we've had Advent since 2013.
Nice.
So,
well, congrats. Well, moving one from engineering to tattoo artist, it's a big jump.
Yeah.
And I tip my hat to you, because making big leaps like that, it's no joke.
It's scary. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's part of my job too, is I talk to a lot of people every day. And I mean, it's almost like a therapy session, but I always ask people about what they do and what they, and everybody has all these different jobs. And I ask them, do you like it? And they're like, and 90% of people will say the same thing, well, it pays the bills.
Really?
Uh,
90%.
Yep. And I'm like, then why do it? Why not do something that you love? Why not do something, because I love to draw and paint and I love artwork. And so I don't ever feel like I'm working. Like it's fun for me to go to work every day. And if you do that and you enjoy what you're doing, you're getting paid for something that you're going to do anyway. So I don't ever feel like I'm working. Now, obviously, there's days that I'm like, I just do not feel like going in today. But
because you want to go fishing. That's really why.
Yeah.
Your buddies are out there sending you photos of redfish.
But I never go to work like, God, it's another day of work. I just don't feel that way ever. And so, I've told people that and they're like, well, it's not that easy. You know what? It is. It's scary. It's terrifying. When I left engineering and went to tattooing, I took a huge pay cut, like I said, and I didn't know if I was going to make it. But it took 6-9 months of doing something I really enjoyed. Plus, when you really enjoy something like that, you put a lot more into it. I was really focused, and I don't know. That's my advice for everybody. Do what you love.
No, I hear you. I mean, I have a job that I actually do love, but I would love someday to do YouTube full time, whatever that looks like, content creation type of thing. And there'll be a day in my life where I'm like, okay, when is that moment? When is the time to pull the trigger? When do I need to pull back on finances and really just go after a dream? But it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I've been doing this I'm coming up on 2 years, and
that's awesome.
It's a slow grow, but it didn't actually start growing for me. For all you out there who are thinking about starting, I can do this, what they're watching. I can do this. I can learn it all. It's all on YouTube. I've learned everything how to do YouTube on YouTube.
Same.
I know, right? There's literally channels out there that exist to help you create your YouTube channel, and they're awesome. And if you do what they say, Think Media is one of them. That I follow. Those guys are awesome, and I just did exactly what they said to do, and man, just gone crazy. But it wasn't. Here's my point. It wasn't till I decided in my brain that I was going all in. Like if you just kind of do it here and there, I wasn't getting a lot of the yardage. It's when I was like, okay, I'm going to treat it like a part-time job.
Right.
And the second I did that, boom, if I were to show you my analytics right now, if we can hop on it, I mean, just through the roof. I'm not talking about thousands, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of views, because I just, you switched it on your brain that, hey, it's going to be the thing. There's no better time in history to kind of go all in on yourself, especially when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to a lot of the things out there. So, hey, we got some comments here. One Kush One, hey, that's an awesome story. So thank you for sharing. They're not talking about me, by the way. These are all coming in when you were telling your story. Dana said that's awesome. Anonymous, can't pronounce that last. Give me some props there. And so Jeff had a question. How many guys get tats of fish?
A lot. So all my redfish guys, I can't tell you how many redfish tattoos I've done
really
in the last 6 months. And unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, it is fortunate as well, but I did like 1 or 2, and then all the fishermen were like, oh, I want that too. And so then I got a lot more people like, yeah, I want that. So it just, I do at least 2 a month because, but a lot of that is because I know so many fishermen too. And so it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, right? I mean, I'm curious, whenever you first started tattooing, did you like rent a chair? Is that how that works?
Kind of. So the tattoo, well, that's another thing in our business I've changed, because the tattoo industry, when you are a tattoo artist and not an owner, most places do a percentage. So for normally a year or two, people are paying 50% of everything they make to the shop, which is ridiculous. It's absolutely horrible. And I remember doing that for years. And then like, as you get a little, further at an establishment, they might move you up to 60, but you're still giving away almost half your money.
Right.
And so there were months that I would do $4,000 or $5,000, and then I would walk away with, $2,500. I'm like, where did all this? I worked so hard for all of this. And so I changed that in my shop because I want the people there to make money.
Right.
But I also wanted obviously the bills and everything to be paid, and I wanted to make money myself, but I don't do it that way because I don't think it's fair to people. But because of that, we don't ever have anyone leave either. All of
Yeah, I
ours
can only
stay.
imagine your turnover is pretty low.
Yeah. So,
So, I'm curious. What's the craziest request you've received for like a fishing tattoo? And do you turn people down?
all the time.
You're like, no, a hard pass. I
So
want my name on that.
yeah, I'm at a point in my career now though that I can. I generally stay
Mm.
booked out 3 to 4 months in advance.
Jeez, you guys hear that? If you want a tattoo of a redfish on your back, 3 months out.
Yeah. So it's about 3 to 4 months. When I first started, in some of these shops, I was just trying to make as much money as I could. So a lot of us, we didn't turn anything down. You wanted something stupid? Yeah, sit down, let's do it. But I've gotten to a point in my career that I can now. And so I'll have consultations with everyone beforehand. And a lot of times it's just not something that I'm interested in doing. And maybe it's not that it's a stupid idea. Sometimes it's just not something that I'm interested in, or like the style is not what I want to do, or just, where it is. I mean, so I turn people down all the time, and people get mad about that, but I'm like, I don't have enough time to take on every project. I
got
have to.
fishing. You guys
Yeah.
check out my fishing channel. I don't
Right.
have time for your tattoo.
Yeah.
I know you're not being, a jerk about it, but hey, it's nice to be in a place where you
Yeah.
can choose what you do. So once again, tip my hat to you. This comes in from One Kush One. Have you tattooed yourself?
I have.
How many fish are on your body?
I don't have any actually.
None.
Surprisingly. Yeah. But a lot of my tattooing myself, I mean, a lot of tattoo artists will tattoo themselves when they're learning, and it's just part of that process. There's an old joke. They say, if you ever want to see the worst tattoos, look at a tattoo artist's thighs, because that's where they can see. And that's where I was lucky enough to learn under some people that were really good. So I don't have anything horrible on, but I have tattooed my arms. I've tattooed my legs, small stuff. And a lot of that's been covered up by, over the years, but
right.
I don't advise it. It sucks. I don't want to tattoo myself. It's painful because you anticipate the pain every time you're like tensing up. It's not fun, but it's a good way to learn.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, so let's switch gears. Let's move back to fishing. Even though I loved taking a deep dive on that. Thanks for sharing a little bit about your life. Also, thank you for your service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So earlier in the show, and really quick, guys, before we hop into this question, just want to thank US River Maps for sponsoring the show, kind of making it possible. So, Jeff, I know you're on listening. Thanks. Tip my hat to you for starting a small business in the time that you did it. And so check it out, usrivermaps.com. And there's a code. If you go into this shop, it's good through year end. Get $35 off. And those things are pretty awesome. And so if you got any questions, his email is actually on the website. Just contact him directly. So thanks for making that possible. If you haven't given the show a like yet, please help me out. It helps with the replay value. If YouTube's like, hey, people liking this thing, they'll push it out to more people. And so hopefully get that out there. But hey, we're talking about earlier in the show. And we talked a little bit about live bait, which I've always thought in the saltwater world, live bait's where it's at. It's expensive, right? But that was where it's at. But there's a video that you had out, and I was really curious, and I didn't watch it because I wanted you to explain it. 5 reasons to stop using live bait and to use artificial. Hit me.
Okay. A lot of people, when they switch over to saltwater, live bait is where it's at, and it's easier. During the summer, everyone switches over to croaker, and I'm going to tell you, it's pretty hard not to catch a fish on that. However, if you are looking to be a better fisherman, and become really, really good at that, no matter what, because I see it every year. These guys that use croaker, they'll come out, they'll, just destroy the fish all summer long. And then fall, spring, winter, they can't catch fish at all. They cannot catch fish, and they don't understand why. But for all of us guys that use artificial, we can catch fish year round. And there's a reason for that. Now, artificial, I always tell people that, there's a few reasons. One, you start to learn the behaviors of fish a lot more and what they like, the colors they like during different seasons of the year. And so you have a lot of options to switch back and forth between that and figure out why. Now, I look at a lot of bait and I try to match the hatch. That's what everyone says. And so down in saltwater, we're looking at a lot of different types of fish and a lot of different types of bait, shrimp and crabs and all. So we're matching all of that stuff. And once you learn all of that, artificial is actually a lot easier, plus it's cheaper. That's a big part of it. But lastly,
offset those gas costs somehow.
Yeah. In all, it makes you a better fisherman in pretty much every aspect. Now, and the people that rely on live bait, it's really hard for them to understand why, when the fish, there's certain seasons they just can't catch fish, and they're like, I just don't understand. And I'm like, stop, just learn the fish. Like once you learn what they want, it's a lot easier to use anything, and you can switch back and forth. So that's the biggest reason. It just makes you a better fisherman.
Well, it makes sense to me. I think we got like 6 comments over here. I need to go over here and check them out. Yes, Roman Empire baits, 100%. Used to use only live, never fished saltwater though. So now he makes his own artificials. And yes, he had to learn fishing habits and colors. That makes sense. One fish, one, yeah, perfect. In long run, lures end up being cheaper. 2, I'm about to start to make his own. Hey, I'm about to start making my own. That's awesome, man. Hey, One Kish One, Roman Empire, you guys should get together, check each other out. But so I have something I like to do. Oh, we're way over mid-show. We're coming down. Holy cow, we're at 50 minutes. Whew, I love it. But I love to do something called the lightning round, where I ask you 5 questions, and I'm looking for 1-word answers. And a lot of times we'll circle back on these questions and kind of unpack them a little bit more. Okay. So you ready for this?
Yep.
Here we go. Number 1, favorite fishing kayak accessory when you had one.
Power pole.
Oh, right on. Makes sense. Number 2, tattoo you're most proud of doing.
I did a skull and octopus that was probably my favorite tattoo I've ever done.
Nice. How long ago was that?
About 6 months.
Oh, nice. All right. Favorite rod reel combo?
Laguna, because I'm sponsored by Laguna. So Laguna Trident rods, and I like Shimano Corrado DCs.
All right, we'll circle back on sponsorship. I'm curious about other sponsorships as well. Number 4, favorite fishing YouTube channel?
Well, beyond mine, let's see. For me, I like Thresher. Thresher's entertaining to watch.
Okay, isn't there a salt life guy?
Saltwater, yeah.
Okay, that's what I say. I haven't heard of him yet, but it's probably because I do a lot of freshwater. And number 5, favorite YouTube channel not fishing?
Peter McKinnon.
What's his all about?
About creating YouTube videos and video editing and photography, and he is super, super entertaining.
All right, I like that. All right, so let's go back to sponsorships real quick. I got some comments here. Let me see what we got. No, don't see any questions here. Except this. What's plastics? No, plastics where I get my bait. Oh, there's a conversation taking place over here. Nothing to do with us. They're just talking to each other, which happens every once in a while. So, on. So tell me, you're sponsored by that pole company. I'll let you see it here and again. Any other companies? What's that look like for you? And how'd that come to be? Did you reach out to them? They reach out to you?
I'm really bad at reaching out to people. It's always been really hard for me to ask people for free stuff. I'm just not that person. So I've been really lucky where people have reached out to me, and I'm like, yes, I will take that. But I am sponsored by Laguna, Anglers Anonymous, which is on my hat. Sponsored by them. Grundens, I'm with them. DOA Fishing Lures. So
you're gonna have to back up. You're naming things that I don't even know what they are.
No.
So what's Anglers Anonymous? I mean, I get the point, but what is it? A company? Is it like a
It's a saltwater tackle shop here in Texas.
Right.
Yep, and they're pretty much, they carry all the premier things that you would need for. I mean, it's not like your academy, so it's a lot of higher end stuff that are very specialty for saltwater.
Nice.
So,
All right, keep going. You're running through some.
and then Grundens. Do you know what Grundens is?
I'm not familiar.
Okay, Grundens is an apparel company. They make some of the best hard weather apparel
Okay.
that you can possibly. I mean, like they have. I mean, it's all like Gore-Tex. If you ever watch like Deadliest Catch, all those guys are wearing Grundens.
Don Grundens. Got it.
Yep.
I need to find a company like that. You're down in Texas. I'm up here in the part of the frozen chosen up here in Ohio where it's like frozen over. Is it like warm weather stuff or is it just like
Both.
weather beating you?
Yeah. So, like, for instance, I have a gambler jacket from them, and that thing, I mean, it's waterproof. It's completely waterproof. It has neoprene on the sleeves. It'll, withstand like up to 30 inches of rain an hour. So, which is, you could pretty much stand in a hurricane and stay dry.
Yeah. Which in Texas, that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
That happened it happened near you?
Yeah. I mean, I've been through 2 hurricanes here. So
does it kill the fishing or did it come back?
It's awful. So I'll say the fishing is great right before a hurricane. The hurricane comes through, it's awful for a little while, and then it gets really good again.
How long's a little while?
It depends how bad it is, and it depends. Some hurricanes, depending on which direction the wind is turning, sometimes it really destroys our base. Sometimes it really helps our base. So it depends on the hurricane, but like Harvey, it was probably a month or so before fishing got great again.
Stuff. Well, I asked you kind of have something ready to show everybody because I have a bunch of different, like a miscellaneous group of tackle boxes that I use, and I was like, okay, what's one thing that can kind of transcend kayak fishing for every angler? And you had this video on Busby, which I've seen their stuff before. I've never had my hands on it before, but the stuff you're showing looks legit. And so, do you have that nearby by chance? Did you?
Yeah. Let me grab it. It's right behind me.
I want to hear a little bit about this. This stuff looked like it was waterproof. Let me see what we got over here in the comments. All right, walk me through how you have your tackle storage.
There we go.
All right, walk me through how your tackle storage. I'm curious. You exclusively use Busby, right?
That is it.
All right, and
this is the Busby tackle container.
Is that just a waterproof shell?
Yeah, it's kind of like the same material as like those Yeti soft coolers.
All right.
And the zipper's the same and all of that. But this is really just to hold them all here. I pulled what's really cool about Busby. I'll show you this. So inside, it holds.
Got it.
4 different tackle boxes, but yeah, this is them. What's cool about them, though?
Everybody on the podcast is like bouncing right now. But hey, come over to the live show and you'll be able to see what we're talking about. All right.
Yeah. So these are modular. They come in different sizes and shapes, so I can like pull out one of the boxes. I can move them around. They snap in any arrangement that you can imagine. They have like these come in like 4 or 5 different sizes. So this one just happens to be the soft plastics, but some are like square shaped. Some of them are longer, bigger for like top waters.
Is there any type of like? I know some of these are like, hey, rust preventative stuff like that. Do they advertise
These are completely waterproof. It's all made from like aircraft materials, and yeah, here's one that's different sizes.
Okay.
Dropping stuff.
Yeah. Sorry about asking you this question. I feel like I'm destroying your tackle boxes.
They're also they all float.
All right.
And it doesn't matter how much weight you put in this. I mean, I've done it. I've loaded it up with a bunch of different weights, thrown it in the water, and it still floats. So as long as it's closed, it'll float. So you never have to worry about it. I use it when I go wading sometimes. Like they have some smaller versions of these.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll just put those on me with some lures and I'll go wade fishing. So because I don't have to worry about them. Yep.
One of the most irritating things I have with some of mine, and I have some Plano, they weren't inexpensive, but when I push them underwater, water got in, so they weren't completely waterproof. And then what the most irritating thing is it doesn't sound like it happens with these, but my hooks, a lot of times when you put that shell and you close them on the top, if I were to turn it over, all my hooks are all scattered into the next compartments. Does that happen?
No. So all of these lock in the bottom and the top of the lid. So the lid locks, it has these little squares, and so it locks in the top. So you can shake that thing around and nothing will move.
It's about freaking time someone creates something like that, because
Yeah,
man,
and the owner, his name's Caleb, and he's really good about. I mean, he says that they're pretty much impossible to break. I managed to crack one of these, and he sent me a brand new one a day later. So
yeah.
I don't know what I did, but he was actually really surprised. He's like, "That's the first one I've ever seen." But yeah, they're great. They're great, and I mean, they are more expensive than most tackle boxes, but I've used these now for over 2 years, and I'm still using the same tackle box. You only got to buy it once.
Yeah, it's I love only cry once. That's what I call it. Only cry once gear. It's gonna hurt the first time, but it lasts for a long time. And here's the thing: Busby has nothing to do with this. You're not. I don't know if you're sponsored by it. We're not trying to be like selling you something here.
No.
I was just really curious on it because I'm looking to get some probably around Christmas. After I could probably get some Christmas money, and I'm looking for the best. And so I was just curious because I saw that you.
It is the best, and I'm not sponsored by them at all. Now they have definitely. So I did a video on their first tackle boxes, and they have definitely sent me a lot of stuff for free, but there's no sponsorship there. It's just they just make a great product, and I've talked about it multiple times in my videos, and I'm not expecting anything from them ever, but I would gladly pay for these.
Next question comes from One Kush One. What's the price though? What's that only cry once price?
I don't even actually know off the top of my head. I know that they're about double what your normal tackle boxes are.
Got it. Yeah.
I think each one. Well, you can buy them in a case, which is what most people do. They'll buy the whole box with everything in it, and I think it ends up being 180, maybe $200. But you get 4 of those. You get all the compartments. You get the waterproof bag. You get all. I mean, there's a lot that comes in it.
Yeah. So I was thinking today. I was like, what's some questions I can ask Mike? And one of the questions that came up, because you kind of have this unique scenario where you used to be a kayak fisherman, and now you're a boat fisherman, even though you go out every once in a while with your buddies on your kayak. And I've always been curious. I owned a boat, but it was a long time ago, and I kind of sold it. Got into kayak fishing. Do you feel? And I'm not, because I noticed one of your videos where it said, "Oh, what was it? Someone don't be this guy" video, and it was a couple boats. You were in a boat nonetheless, but it was a couple boats that basically cut your line, weren't paying attention.
Yep.
Maybe one of them. The other one definitely was paying attention because you noticed that he was guiding and he had customers with him.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. One, I want to hear that story. And two, after you tell that story, tell us, do you feel like when you have a boat, do other boaters treat you a certain way? And when you have a kayak, did you feel a discrepancy in the way, whether you're on the water or off the water? You know where I'm getting? You know what I'm getting at? Okay.
Yeah,
I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. So that's a good question, because I'll tell you, when I used to kayak, I hated boaters. And there's this like constant battle between kayakers and boaters. And I never understood why they just don't, why they will run right next to you and push you up against the, especially here in the Bay, like in the marshes, it's just not hard to be, generous and, a good person, around other people, and just, be respectful. Yeah. And so I never understood that. And I'll get to that in a second, because now that I've done both, I understand.
Okay.
I understand some of that, but it's just, I mean, in boaters and kayakers and everybody, I don't understand why people just can't be, decent people around, I mean, it's fishing, it should be a nice, relaxing,
should be.
And I don't know why everyone has attitudes and problems. Like, when I'm out there, I'm as happy as I could possibly be. You can't really make me mad. It's pretty hard. Right. So But you were talking about that video, and that one was pretty irritating because you can't see it in the video, but basically we're fishing this like jetty of rocks, and a boat comes in between us, and we might be 40 yards off of the rocks, but we're fishing into the rocks and we're drifting all the way down, and they run right in front of all of us, and ruin our fishing. But what you don't see in that video is behind us is about 5 miles of water. So it would have been real easy for them to go behind us, let us keep fishing, but they, again, just, disrespectful. They don't care about anything but themselves. And so that video kind of got a lot of views just because everyone had their opinion on that. But
what? People have their opinion?
Yeah.
They share it in anonymity? What?
Yeah. You in those, every time I post them, like you get these people like, well, you don't own the water.
Bro, you don't own the bro. It usually starts with bro or ends with bro.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, no, but if I saw somebody fishing against the shoreline, I sure wouldn't, cut them off. It's real easy to give them respect and go, right. It's not hard to be a nice person.
It's not. I recently had one. I ended up taking it down because it brings so much negativity into my channel. It was just a short.
Yeah.
And it's what people don't see is like I didn't turn my camera around to show you the other 500 acres of lakes, and you're the only two boaters there. And there's really no reason why she'd even have to look at anybody else today. And they're within casting distance.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's got their opinion, calling you names and whatever. You don't own the water. I get it. I don't own the water. But like you said, it's not that hard just to be considerate. Yeah. I'm not asking for you to get up and leave, but I'll be gone in 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not hard.
Sure, bro. Sorry. So keep going. I want to hear your thoughts on why the tension. And you said you feel like you have an idea.
Yeah. So when I was kayaking, I was always irritated about boaters, especially in the marsh, because they'll come flying around the corners and then they get next to you. And I even told some of my boater friends, like, hey, especially in spots like that, just stay on a plane and go past us, because the wakes is a lot smaller. But these people would like shut it down, and then they would like throw you, and they would get really close. And I just like, I never understood that. And I was just like, why do boaters hate kayakers so much? And then when I switched over and I got a boat, I understood, at least the other side of that, because a lot of times kayakers, they don't get over to the side. And so, when you're running on plane on a boat, like I can't stop half the time, otherwise I'm going to be sitting on the mud or oyster and I'm going to be stuck. So I have to run pretty close to people, kayakers in these like small channels. But on top of that, like I think if everybody were to do both, we would all get along, because you can understand, don't know what they need to do around kayakers. Kayakers don't know that these boaters can't shut it down like when they're in 4 inches of water, and they have to stay on plane, otherwise they're going to get stuck. And so everybody has there's this misunderstanding between kayakers and boaters, and because of that they hate each other for no reason. So
all right, I was curious because I've had I fish mostly lakes and stuff like that, and all the lakes that I fish and ponds that I fish, they're no motor lakes and ponds, and I still deal with this, and I always feel like there's a tension. Like I feel a camaraderie with kayak fishing. That actually makes one of my points in my upcoming video why I just love kayak fishing so much, is that camaraderie. But I for some reason don't feel it, or maybe I just had a couple of bad experiences that keep popping up in my mind when I think of all it takes is one, right? One kayak fisherman to irritate a boat fisherman for them to go back and talk to their buddies and talk about how, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And likewise. And so that's kind of how that you got groups of friends that fishermen get talking, and you start kind of building these walls that don't need to be there. As I personally don't care if you're fishing from a boat or a pool noodle or one of those rubber ducks. We're all there having a good time. But yeah, I hear you. All right, let me see what else here. We're coming up to the end of our time here. I want to see if I had another question for you. Oh yeah, there's one last question. 2 last questions. And if you have a question for Mike, go ahead and throw that in. It will be one of the last ones we get to him. But your lures for redfish, number one lure for redfish. And I'm not talking seasonal. Like, I'm going to pull this out. Like, if you could only fish with one lure the rest of your life to catch redfish, what would that artificial be?
It would be a DOA swim bait in white.
All right.
I think I have one around here somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yes, I do.
It's probably all over the floor. It just made you drop them all.
It's that.
All right, you got to put up a little closer.
Yeah, here, I'll pull it out.
All right.
Yeah, that bait right there.
All right. There it is, folks.
Yep.
Oh, now I see it. Oh, sweet. A sweet little paddle tail.
Yeah, and it's like it's not like a normal paddle tail. It's real floppy.
It looks like a platypus.
Yeah, yeah. I've been using that a lot, and that's probably my favorite. But redfish are very seasonal, and you have to switch baits on them throughout the year. But if I only had one year round, that would be it right there.
Yeah. Well, right on. Well, I have one last question for you. I'm not getting any questions from those that are on right now, but I do have one last question for you. It's who do you know that you think would love this type of show, and we can invite them to come on? Anybody come to mind?
Honestly, my best friend Caleb McCumber, he's a red fishing tournament. He's a guide. He's a fishing guide.
Oh, nice.
But he's also dealt with all kinds of fishing, from kayaking to boating to tournament fishing. In fact, he just went to the World Series of Redfish last year. So
that's awesome. I haven't had a guide on yet, so that might be. Nice. Just to let everyone know, whenever I ask this question, I actually reach out to these individuals afterwards, see if they're interested.
Yeah. Actually, there's another one, especially because you're more into kayaking. I would probably talk to Scott Knoll or Dean Thomas, because they were both kayak fishing guides as well. I can give you all their information. Yeah.
I love it. All right, right on. Well, I'll reach out afterwards. Well, everybody, if you have not done it yet, please head over to Texas Fishing Force. If you enjoyed Mike's story, love what he does, just wants to support him or see what he's putting out, hit that sub button. I know he would appreciate that. So, Mike, anything else that you'd like to say?
Not off the top of my head. I really appreciate you having me on. This was a lot of fun, man.
Man, it was too. I love, and if you're ever up here in the Canton, Ohio area, the Caribbean of the Midwest, please let me know. I'll take you out. I got a couple of kayaks, and if I'm ever down your way, I'm not sure if I'll ever get way down there, but hey, you never know. I travel from work a lot, so
yeah, come on down. We'll go out. We'll get some redfish.
All right, folks. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening in. And if you're only able to check in a part of this, it's all right. I put it on podcast. So wherever you stream your podcast, if you want to listen in when you're going to work or working out, whatever, if you can catch the whole thing, you're like, hey, I wish I did. Check that out. Kayak Fishing Obsessed. Everyone, thank you so much. We'll see you next Tuesday. I believe we have Fishing with Gramps coming on. And then the following week, which I think is like Christmas week or something crazy like that, or the week before Christmas, we have Burley Fishing on. So I just booked them yesterday. So I'm pretty pumped about that. But thanks for listening in. You guys are awesome. And I'll see you next week, next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.